Hello, welcome back to the Barrett channel today for a brand new video where me and you are going to get a little bit personal. I'm just walking around the hutongs of Beijing. As you can see, man, I absolutely love these areas. These have got to be one of my favorite things in China. Like, I've gotten such a happy, warm vibe from these hutongs. And there's loads of little individual there's loads of little individual coffee shops and restaurants and bars, and it's all tuk-tuks, and it's just fantastic. Anyway, I'm gonna find this coffee shop that I got recommended by Nico. Shout out to her, she showed us around Beijing yesterday, and I'm just gonna find it. It's called Voyage Coffee, so bear with me, I'll find it and I'll get back to you. Here it is, this little doorway, Voyage Coffee. You'd never, the coolest thing about these places, you'd never know it was here unless you got told about it. Hello.
Hi.
You just never know, would you? Little indie coffee shop and get in the warm, it's nice. Yeah. What are we gonna go for? Let's have a look. 有拿铁吗？拿铁热的。
热的。
对。
可以挑选一下咖啡豆，有2种。
这个。
这个吗？This one is a little bit stronger. Okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no problem.
Take away out here.
Here. You're able to unwrap and take off all your million layers that you're wearing. When you get inside into the warm, it's nice. We've got our coffee here, that looks very nice. Oh, that is fantastic. Right, it feels like I'm back in England where it's winter time and you just love getting inside because it's nice and warm. I'm able to warm up with a nice coffee now, but I'm going to have to be a bit quiet because it's quite a quiet coffee shop, so hopefully you can hear me alright. So we're about to get a little personal. This is my personal story, and as you can see from the title, this is how China gave me a completely new life. And it's hard to know where to start actually, because there's a lot of context to it, but let me start when I was about 13 years old. Okay, I started up a YouTube channel, and I was doing gaming, as I've mentioned before on this channel. I actually grew that YouTube channel to over 100,000 subscribers about 5 years ago. In 2015, it was very hard to get to 100,000 subscribers. That was something that not as many people had done back then. It was because I was a part of a big team on this game Call of Duty that I used to play. Anyway, long story short, when I was growing up, I kind of let that go because other things became priority, and I just didn't really see how prosperous it could actually be. And my mum and dad didn't really take much interest because this was social media. They also didn't really understand. They just saw it as their young kid is wasting his life playing games, which, fair enough to them. But yeah, I made quite good money when I was a young kid, and that was always a bonus. But because I'd never worked in the real world, I didn't really understand how valuable that YouTube channel was. And yeah, I gave it up, and that has always been kind of a bit of a burden of regret in my mind ever since I've started up this one, and this one is now doing very well as well. So I've kind of I feel like I've paid back that debt. So growing up, I was always a fairly intelligent kid. I was massively into gaming, like I just told you, and I went through school kind of like winging it, I was always able to get good grades without really studying that hard, and I just was never able to apply myself academically. And I think the main reason for that is just because I never really found anything that sparked my interest. Every single thing in school just seemed like a chore. I didn't really enjoy any subjects. So when I finished my GCSEs, which is 16 years old in England, I went on to do sixth form. Now you either do sixth form, which is your A-levels for 2 years, or you go on to college and do something more specific. and the easiest choice was just to do A-levels. So that's what everyone else did, that's what I did, and I picked a bunch of subjects that I didn't really have any interest in. One of them psychology, which after school I've actually found that I'm really interested in that, but during school I had no interest. So I was 17 years old, I didn't really apply myself, and I just didn't really try very hard. I knew I didn't want to go to university because there was nothing that even sparked my interest at all to go to university, and therefore I just missed the boat at getting into the second year of A-levels. I wasn't able to progress to the second year because my grades weren't good enough, which is the harsh reality of that. I'm just losing focus here, so bear with me. There we go. And at this time, there was a multitude of reasons as to why I wasn't able to get the grades. I guess I was in a very, I was in a bad place, to be honest. I was in a relationship that I was really struggling with, and I had a bunch of part-time jobs. Between 16 and 21 years old, before I came here, I've done about 15 different jobs. I never really lasted very long, and some of them were because I would never really have a great relationship with my managers, because I guess I thought I knew better half of the time. I probably didn't help myself sometimes, and then other jobs I just got bored of, and I simply wanted to change or get a higher pay in a different role or something like that. Anyway, in hindsight, that's kind of a cool thing because I got a lot of experience in different areas. I did waiting. I did retail. I did one that was really weird. I did pest control. That was my most recent job before I came to China. I was killing rats and wasps, and somehow that was my favorite job that I did because I wasn't under the scrutiny of a manager overlooking every single thing that I do. I was kind of going from house to house on my own accord, and I was kind of able to plan my own day, which was nice. Anyway, when I was about 20 years old, I had this kind of realization that I'd been working part-time. I'd been working full-time for 3 years, and I really had no aim. I had nowhere that I felt like I was heading. I was losing purpose. I had no purpose in my life, and that put me in a bit of a bad way, to be honest. I was also in debt. I would live paycheck to paycheck. I was kind of just living every day, just earning money, spending it, and I had no real purpose is the short story. So yeah, long story short, I got in a bad way, and I was 20 years old, and I thought I got to do something with my life, and I needed to do a college course. I needed to get a skill, right? And again, I still had no interest in any academic subjects, but I've got to go to college, okay? So I went, and kind of my dad persuaded me a little bit, or influenced me a little bit to do cybersecurity course. And I was always pretty good with computers, so I went and did a course in cybersecurity at a college. That didn't last long. That lasted a year. The whole time I hated it. I had no interest in coding. I had no interest in cybersecurity, so I just really didn't like it. And you can see a bit of a theme coming here, I guess. I don't want this to sound so negative, but that's just how it is. I was living with my mum and my brother at the time. My dad already lived in China, in Shenzhen. And it got to the point where I just broke. I was like, look, I need to really change something in my life, or else I'm going to go down a bad road. So I wrote a letter. It sounds kind of silly now. This is getting deep and personal, but I wrote a letter, like 12 pages, handwritten. I sent it to my mum and dad. It was basically, look, like, this is what's happening right now. All of what I've just explained to you was on that letter, and they didn't know half of it because I just bottled everything up. I just kept everything to myself. I didn't want to be a burden to the people around me, was my thought. So let me just get my coffee down me a little bit. So my dad saw that and my mum saw that, and they thought, oh, what are we going to do with you? And my dad said, look, you know, I don't really know what to say to you, but, you know, I live in China. Why don't you come out here for a little bit, you know, sort of recalibrate, get your mind back into place. And at that time, he'd already been living here for about 2 years, and it had not once crossed my mind to even come here to visit. I don't know why, but when he said, like, you can come and live here for a bit, I was just like, whoa, like, ooh, I've never thought of that before. But all of a sudden, every day, every hour, it was like brewing and brewing on my mind. I was like, holy moly, I could go and live in China, you know? And that was a big step to take. So I quit my college course after a year. I had no interest in returning. I got the first year certificate, great. I'm not that bothered about it, to be honest, because it's not, you know, I didn't complete the 2 years. So at this point, I didn't have my A-levels, I didn't have my college course, but, you know, the next move was to move to China. I've always seen myself as kind of different, you know. I've never ever seen myself going down the typical route of doing things, you know, get your A-levels, get your university degree, get a job, get a house. That just doesn't fit right in my mind. I knew I wanted to do something like work for myself and, you know, hustle my own way and figure life out in a kind of different way. So I went to China 3 months after my dad first mentioned it. I went to China, and thinking about it now is kind of mad, because people didn't really believe me for a while. My friends and family, they were kind of like, whoa, you serious? You're going to drop everything here, you know, and move to China? And yeah, that's what I did. My dad, thank you to him, bought me a plane ticket, because at the time I didn't really have any money. So he bought me a plane ticket. He said, look, live here rent free for a little bit, and you know, just pay for your food and stuff like that, and you can live here and recalibrate. So because it was all in my mind about moving to China, I didn't have... It's funny, people ask me now when I meet new people, they're like, why did you come here? And I'm like, my only reason was that I wanted a change, and I wanted to get away from the UK. And if it was only because my dad was living here that I came here. If he was living in like Japan, I would have gone to Japan, I guess. But yeah, I came here, and when I landed, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was like, whoa, I'm here, now what? Like, I didn't really... We had no intentions of doing a YouTube channel when I first got here, but it was something that we talked about and kind of joked about, because he knew I had experience doing one in the past, and I was obviously able to do it, and I'm able to edit, I'm able to be on camera. And he's kind of ran businesses over the years, so he can kind of manage that kind of side. And let me just put you up a bit, I'm getting a backache. So after what, I guess it was, oh no, I'm missing a big part of the story, sorry. When I first got to China, I planned to kind of stay here for a few months and just recalibrate and then go back to the UK, I guess. I didn't really have an idea, didn't really have a plan. And I really had a tough time. I really had a tough time. I didn't put myself out there because I knew I was only having a limited amount of time here. I didn't really go out and try my best to make friends. I didn't really try to learn the language. I got really kind of lonely because, you know, it was great to see my dad and stuff, but didn't really have any friends. So after about 2 months of being in China, I went to Vietnam for a little travel, you know, and I met a friend there from the UK. And whilst I was in Vietnam, I was speaking to my friend, and I was like, I really, really hate it in China, you know. I don't fit in there, I need to go back. In hindsight, you know, hindsight 2020, I realised I was very homesick, I was lonely because I didn't try and make friends. And but at that time, it swallowed my mind up, you know, so I changed my flight as soon as I got back from Vietnam, I was flying back to the UK, and that was it. China, done. You know, I've done it, I'm going home. And then I was in Vietnam with my friend, and every day, getting closer to that flight date, every day I was like, had this gut feeling, I had this wrenching gut feeling that I was making a big mistake. And it got closer and it got closer, and then I flew back to China to then get my flight back to the UK. Hold on, are we focused? Yeah, to get my flight back to the UK. And on the day of my flight back to the UK, I was like, I can't go. I'm not going back to the UK. I had a feeling that I would just go back to doing what I was doing before. I would hate my job. I would, you know, have no purpose. I need to stick it out here in China and get through the tough time. And that's what I did. I just decided not to take my flight. I remember they called me. They were like, look, Mr. Barrett, where are you? I was like, look, sorry, I'm not going home. And man, to think how different my life would be if I did decide to go back is, I can't even imagine. And then just after that is when we started the YouTube channel, and that gave me a bit of purpose, you know. That gave me something to do throughout the day. That gave me something to wake up in the morning for. So it started off real slow. You know, for the first 6 months there wasn't much going on, making a video a week. And if you've been around since then, please do let me know, because it'd be, you know, you've been here since the start, so thank you so much. But yeah, and then January 2020, bang, coronavirus. Oh dear, all of us are stuck inside. What are we going to do? So me and my dad put all of our time into making videos, and he was making a coronavirus update every day, which you may know about if you're following those, and that was kind of a bit of a blessing in disguise for us, playing devil's advocate, because we were able to put so much time into it. We ended up seeing quite some growth, because we were making so many videos, getting a decent amount of views, but unfortunately at that time all of those videos were limited monetization, so we didn't really earn that much money from it. But the good thing was that it was growing a subscriber base that we could then go on to do bigger things. And then it was about mid-February, and the UK government was saying, look, every UK citizen that's in China, come home now, because at this time it wasn't known that it was going to spread abroad, right? And we decided to stay here. And again, that's another decision that just, if we didn't make that decision, our life, what's the word I'm looking for? Our life path, for lack of a better word, would just be completely different. And since then, since staying here, you know, the YouTube channel's grown. It's now our full-time job, and you know, I'm getting to all these opportunities to go around China and make videos, and I'm learning the language. And to think, just 18 months ago, or 2 years ago, I was in that terrible place where I needed to make a change, to now where I've been almost to every corner of China, and I'm learning the language and I love it, and everything's going well. You know, it's just crazy. You know, sometimes I just, when I'm on like a high balcony overlooking the Bund in Shanghai at a Huawei event, I was just stood there for like 20 minutes just trying to take it all in, thinking, wow, you know, I'm just thankful that I made that jump. And there's a quote that my nan, my grandma, my dad's mum, says a lot to me, which is follow the path of life and it will take you to wonderful places. And you know, that is something that I've now know that I'm going to get tattooed in picture format on me at some point, because that is now how I perceive life. and that's how I'm going to live it for the rest of my life. So anyway, that's kind of where things are at now, and I just want to thank all of you for following this channel and making this dream a reality, and that's kind of it. I hope you've enjoyed this sort of personal chat in this coffee shop, this beautiful coffee shop here in Beijing in the Hutongs. And if you did like it and you want more of this kind of stuff, please drop a like, drop your comments down below on if you've had any life-changing decisions, or how your life has changed from making a leap of faith like I did. Or hopefully I can help. This can encourage somebody who's watching to do the same, to make a leap of faith, and you will see things get better. Hang in there. Thank you all for watching. For now, take care.